I've been asked by the guys I coach and consult to go through where a really good entry level is. I suppose you can call it trade of the week, trade of the month. And what we're looking at is a wider time frame, and then zooming in on a very good entry point, and the premise being to look for a very juicy, fat, big reward for a small amount of risk in terms of pip loss. So what I'm going to do is go through the steps of how I find this this trade, where the opportunity is, so what the risk is in terms of where you'll put the stop. So importantly, why enter at a particular level. Okay, I know a lot of people have trouble finding a strategic place to execute a trade. And what we're going to be looking at here is a longer term trade, a potentially longer term trade, by getting in at a very, very good level of resistance. And the screen, or the trade, is going to be on the DAX. So you're looking at the chart of the DAX at the moment. And what I've done is I have drawn the line and the numbers on there, so you can just see what I'm looking at, and then we'll go from the weekly to the daily, and then we'll move into some shorter time frames, so you can see where that entry position is, and those target points as well. So the weekly chart, all these are weekly candles. So going back to April 2015, you can see that the DAX had hit a high of 12,374. So that is where it created its major level of resistance. It's the highest point it's got to. And what we're looking at is the lower highs that the price has been making on a weekly basis. Okay, so this dotted red line here, you can see it touched at 12,023, which was just here, this high test candle. Then it tested again there, which was in May 2015, and then again here 11,793 in July 2015. Then the price pulled all the way back to this point here, which is at 9,465, before rallying again, and guess where it gets to? Resistance again on this diagonal trend line here. So what we're looking at is it's on the edge of the rails. So where we've drawn a trend line, you see it as a train track, where the direction at the moment on the weekly is actually down. So you can see that's the high, there's a lower high there, another lower high, and now we've reached this natural level here, which is at 10,738, where the DAX on this weekly basis, on this weekly time frame, is hit a level of resistance. Okay, so for the price to resume its trend, the trend is down. So the natural thing that the price will do is start to fall, unless the direction is going to change and the bulls start to take over. So the entry at the moment is around this 10,738 level. Okay, so you can see it rallied, come down, rallied again. Now what we're also going to look at is the daily charts. So I'm just going to show you first, though, these. I'm also looking here at the 50-day weekly, the 50-week exponential moving average, and then the 200-day as well, which are key target points. Now this is going to surprise you, but my target, the first target on this, is around 8817-ish. So you think that's a couple of thousand points almost as a drop from where we are now to 8817. Because the natural trend line, if we go back to here, which is around July 2013, August 2013, was at 8098, where I've just plotted that number there. Then here, this low test weekly candle, which is at 8368, that's where it found its support. So this trend line here. Okay, so this green trend line, which I'm pointing to now, let's just follow the track. Let's follow the track all the way up, and then we get to this point here. So February of this year, the DAX, when it came off this level here at 11428, this resistance, it came all the way down. So from November to February, so just within 3 months, the price had retraced from 11428 to 8698. The important thing to demonstrate that is that that's how quickly a price can actually fall. A lot of people look at it and think, God, that's really high, 11428. There's no way it could fall to 8698. Well, of course it did, because you can see it. It did fall to 8698, and that happened just in the space of 3 months. Okay, that's how quickly it can happen. So the 10738 level of resistance here, I'm looking for this to pull back to around about the 8817 as a longer term target. Now a lot could happen, of course, in between, but my longer term target would be 8817, which of course would be fantastic, because if we are selling around about the 10738 area, I'll tell you exactly where we'll be selling at, but it's going to be around that area. Then a nice fall there of almost 2,000 pips would bode very well. I mean, the reward for the risk taken be exponential, and a nice little Christmas present. But I'm not saying that it's going to happen in the next month, the next 2 months. It could take longer, but it will naturally, it will come back to a certain level of support. And of course, this number could change if this does rise, this line, but we'll be looking for that. At the moment, the target is 8817, so that could change slightly as it does lift up. So here, it could be 8860, etc. So, but this is what we're looking for. So this is the target. And then further beyond that, can you see on the right hand side there's a box there that says 8098? Well, that's another target that we're looking at. Okay, so it's another target. And will the DAX test this again? Yes, it's going to. It will eventually test 8098. Now, whether it comes back down to, say, 9465, which is another level of support, and then bounces back up and tests this line again, that's something that could happen. But of course, we'll be managing the trade, so as the price, if it does fall and doesn't change direction, break through the bulls, if the bulls can't push it right through this point, then that could also happen. But we'll always be on the right side of the trade. So if we're short selling it, we will always be in the right side of it, because we've sold right up here at the best possible point that we can short sell it at. So it could come down to this level, which is at 9465. That's not bad. I mean, we'll still be over 1,000 pips to the good. It could come down to 9465 because of the 200-week moving average, and again this particular line here, which is my longer term target, so around about 8817, but even longer term 8098. And if it breaks 8098, that's where we really will be entering into a bear market beyond that point. And of course that could happen at some point. Could be this year, 2016. It could be next year, 2017. We can never tell when it's going to happen, but it will happen. It's the 13th of August as I'm recording this now, 2016, so it's going to happen. So that's the makeup of the weekly chart. That's what we're looking at, the dominant time frame on the weekly chart. Okay, so 12023, 11793, 11428 and 10738, which is where we're at the moment. And it stays, notice how it stays below my black line. So as the price moves down, rallies to 11428 from 9465 there, and then stays below my black line on here, and now it's come up to this resistance level. Okay, so we'll now have a look at the daily, not the 4 hour, thank you, we'll have a look at the daily chart. So the daily chart, this is it's showing a different situation, okay, because we've got another trend line here, and this is what we are always aware of, that there's, you know, things happening on the daily chart where it's drawing its own trend lines. So what I've done here is I've got a diagonal line which is showing an uptrend, okay, so which is 988 within the weekly. So 9886, which is back in January of this year, it then dropped to 86, okay, so that was a pretty big fall in February. It then rallied to 10488, so this high test candle here, the old monkey tail. So there's a monkey tail there, and then what we're looking at is 11298 potentially. So this is on the upside, okay, but we won't, you know, whatever the short position is from here, you know, we're not going to be on the wrong side of the trade by, you know, 500, 600 pips if it continued to go up on that, because we will have closed the trade because the bulls would have taken over for a while. So that's what it looks like on the daily. So this is a major level of support at 10709, so where we are at the moment, and you can see that's where it's been fighting to push through this 10709 on the daily chart. A natural point on the daily chart for it to come back to is 9,400. Okay, so we'll also be looking at if the price does do what it could definitely do, which is sell off from here. Let's have a look at the 4 hour chart, and this is where it just goes to show again. So this is on the 11th of August. There's a high test candle there, test again, test again. Look at this, all these 4 hour candles all testing this area at 10714. This is a real hot zone. This is the point where will the trend end at this point on the weekly basis. Will the trend end? Because this is a key level. You can see everything is showing there that this is a key changing point. Okay, so if it suddenly starts to cross through there, it's broken the trend line on the weekly chart, the dominant one. Okay, so it's broken it if it gets through that level. So the natural is you can see what's happened next from these points here. You can see why I'm looking to short sell it, because it's rallied, it's come up to that point, it's gone all the way down again, and then it's natural rally again. So it's resuming its trend if it continues to fall from here. But if it starts to break through, then the trend, that trend line is broken. Okay, and then we will start to see a different pattern potentially than what we could see. Going back to that daily chart, is maybe a test up here at 11298, but that's not what we're talking about at the moment. What we're talking about is short selling the DAX from this point, okay, around here. So I'm just going to show you the another key thing at the moment where we could see some definite selling. So this is just adds weight to what I'm saying here, is that here on the relative strength index we're seeing an overbought level. So back in June we can see there that it was oversold, but now it's overbought. Okay, so overbought level, which was in April, oversold level back in February. Okay, and again here where it was below 30. Now it went up to 70, and we are now up to 72. So one could say that the DAX has now been overbought. The rally has been very strong, but we could say now that it's overbought because it's at this level. It's also pushing the envelopes on the Bollinger Bands. So you can see again there, it's pushed the envelopes through this line here. Okay, so that's where the pullback come down back to initially 10.3, around about 10.35, and then even further again. So that's what it looks like on the daily charts. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to zoom in and have a look at entry points. So I'm going to go all the way in. So we started on the weekly, we've had a look at the daily, we can see what's going on there. I'm going to have a look at the 1 hour in a minute, but I'm going to show you the entry points on the 10-minute time frame. So I zoom all the way in on the 10 minutes. So all this red area at the moment is all lit up because of the fact that it's a hot zone. The shaded area is the hot zone. All around this area, this is the key turning point. Is it going to use that weekly resistance and start to fall back again, or is it going to push through? The bull's going to take over. The bulls will have to be very, very brave. The market makers will test it, and we may end up seeing a monkey tail and possibly taking some of the some traders out who have got too much money on the particular trade, so the big boys will try and shake them off the tree. But as long as you're not trading too much a point here, then you won't get affected if there is a high test. So 10-minute chart. Where I'm looking at on here, but the reason why we zoom in is we want to get the best entry that we possibly can, so minimizing the number of pips we would lose and going for maximum gain. So if it happens that the bulls did take over and they broke that trend line, okay, on the weekly, then that's where, you know, we would want to come out of the trade. The other thing is as well is where people are always, oh, I don't want to lose any pips. Sometimes you have to, you have to lose some pips sometimes. The worst thing you can possibly do is hold on to a trade when it has actually turned, and you have to know whether it's turned. Okay, so here we're only risking a small amount of pips for potentially very, very sizable gain. Okay, so on this 10-minute time frame, we've got some trend lines, of course, on here. What I want to show you is how the price has been testing this 10.741 area. Okay, so we have one here which is on the 11th of August, which is at 7:30. It tested 10.741. We had another one here on the 11th of August at 4:30, another test at 10.741. Okay, here the high was 10.737, so it's had another go, which is on the 12th of August at 11:20. So it's been trying to get through. It's testing that level just to see, is there anybody who wants to buy beyond that, to shake things up, to change the trend line. Now, if you didn't know that trend line on the weekly, how would you know what was going on? Or here, knowing that there's a major level of resistance here at 10.739 on that on the 1 hour. Okay, so the short sell, the entry point is either if the DAX tests 10.737 again, that's a great entry point to go in, 10.737, if it does come back up and test it. Okay, here, which is where I've got my black line there, and there's a trend line going through there, there's another short sell at 10.717. Now the reason why I've put 2 on here is because what we could see is a situation where the DAX on Monday, so it's Saturday at the moment, so the DAX on Monday, which would be the 15th of August, could come up to 10,717 and then absolutely plummet. So what do you do then? You know, you potentially would have missed the opportunity. So it could come through and test this line up here, which is around the 10,739. So we would look to short sell at 10,737 or at 10,717. So you've got two areas there where you can short sell. Now, in terms of the stop that you have put in place here, my stop would be nothing higher than 10,750. Okay, and the reason is that if the market makers do decide to have another retest of this level of around the 10,739, 10,743, so around that area, okay, if they do see if there's anybody interested, they will push that price up. And as I said before, they could shake some traders out who are looking to short here, and before the price then continue to fall. So if you think that it's like some poor bloke on the bull, and you know, just trying to hold on for dear life, and then just eventually shaking off and running a mile in case the bull chases after him. So that's what it is like sometimes with trading. The big boys will try and shake you off and try all sorts of tricks to do that. And sometimes what you'll get is if people haven't got a clue about where the resistance lines and support lines are, and where trend lines, channel lines are, if they don't know where they are, they'll suddenly see a price going up, start buying it, and of course then they'll see a massive sell-off because it ended up just being a monkey tail. So what we're looking at is a stop at the 10,750 level. If we then do see and the price going through that, we would close the trade, okay, but we would then look to have another possible entry, because the worst thing we would want is it to suddenly push beyond there by another 50 or 60 points, because we can get back in on the trade if we suddenly start to see it falling back again. Okay, the worst thing you can do is have a losing position of 100 pips or so, and you know, and you're then just getting more frustrated and, you know, annoyed, and that's because, you know, you just try to wait, and who knows, you know, that trend line could be broken. So hence the reason for having a small stop in place here, to give you an opportunity to do the same trade again if we do find that it becomes that high test candle and then comes back down again. Okay, so these are the areas where I'll be looking to short sell. In fact, I have already short sold at 10,737. So anything beyond that, then I'd be closing around this 10,750 area. So going back to the weekly chart, great area to enter short on because of this dominant weekly trend. Okay, but we're getting in on the shorter time frame. So if things do change and that suddenly trend line just gets changes direction, then we won't be in the trade any longer. Okay, so if you do this trade, then just use your normal trade management. So whatever trading plan you have, whether you risk 2% of your trading account, 3% of your trading account, then, you know, don't risk any more. Okay, but this is a fantastic opportunity, because if it does pull back off 10,738, then you know, who knows, it might, you know, we may be back down to say 9,465, something like that, and over the next couple of months. Could happen sooner. August is a always a very, very volatile time for the markets. And after these extreme highs, Wall Street, I haven't gone into here, but Wall Street is at extreme highs, and they could potentially again sell off. The FTSE 100's at huge highs. The dead cat bounce on that after the EU referendum result, the Brexit result. So you know that is also looking very, very dicey. The markets have been pushed up deliberately. Of course, interest rates in the UK have dropped again, so that's buoyed the markets as well, forcing people to buy shares on the premise that they're not going to earn very much for the money, but they're paying very, very high prices, very, very high prices. And when you're buying stocks, what do you want to do? You want to buy stocks at a nice discount on those pullbacks, but that's for another day anyway. So there's the opportunity to sell the DAX. You heard it here first. I will report back to you on a end of each week and let you know how that's gone on, or whether this trade is closed out. But either way, I'll let you know what happens here. And if you do want to learn more how to trade, if you're a beginner, then I am offering at the moment lots of free training to get people started, and also those that have been trading for quite some time but are still struggling and being frustrated by finding those entry positions. And I mean, this trading is a very, very challenging. It's a very, very challenging profession, and you can get swung around all over the place if you haven't got risk management in place and real discipline. And so there's so much to it, and it is like chess. There's always somebody on the other side of the trade. There's always an opponent, and all about momentum, price action, but you've got to really have your wits about you and really know your way around the charts on all different time frames, and see where things are potentially changing. Or the other thing I was going to show on here was the MACD on the 4 hour. That's so just before I close off, I'll just show you that MACD. So sometimes, with the turning point, so we can see on the MACD the crossover here, so you can see with the histogram as well, those points there, just showing you can see an early movement. Okay, here, and let's just say we only use this as secondary. I only use it as secondary indicators, but the MACD is very, very, very useful to have. On the daily, it's still up, which you can see there, but you can see on the 4 hour, that's where it started to actually turn there. Okay, which is on the 11th. Okay, we're on the 13th at the moment. Okay, so that was another thing that I forgot to just to show you there. So going back to what I was saying, yeah, if you do want to know a little bit about more about what I do, how I coach, then you'd be very welcome to come on some free training with me. The importance of that is to get to know my style. I do have obviously paid trading courses, but I don't think you should go on to those yet until you really understand how I work and what I'm about. And the good thing is I offer a huge amount of value in that free training as well, because the most important thing to me is to get people making money. I know how difficult it can be. So somewhere in this video you can click the link through to the landing page there, or you can email me, which will be at financialtraders.com, or Adam at learnhowtotradeshares.com. Okay, so you can get hold of me there, or the link in this video. I'll talk you through the broker that I use, the trading charts, etc., where I put everything. So I'll talk through step by step how I do that, and you'll be very welcome. So good luck with this. This is a great opportunity to make some money but stick to your trading plan. Never risk more than what you can afford to lose. So whether it's 1 or 2 or 3% of your trading account, but here this is a good opportunity to get a big reward. But if the trend does change, then you've only lost a few pips the other way. So it's a great opportunity though. All right, well, I will hang up now and look out for the next post in where I'll let you know how this went and how the trade's being managed as well. How the trade's being managed, because that will be through moving stops down. I'll just quickly show you on that weekly. I'll be moving the stops down to lock in profits and taking the risk off the table. Okay, so once that price starts to move down, we'll be moving the stop down as well, so that there will be no risk whatsoever on the table. It will just be about how much profit that we take. Okay, so I hope you find this valuable. I'm sure you will, because if you're making a couple of hundred pips from this, that will be very valuable to your profitability in trading, and I really hope that happens. Okay, bye for now.